Richard Bach and the Vampire Chronicles, and there was another guy, James Redmond, I think it was, who was writing all this stuff about the insights, the Celestine prophecy, I think it was. They had me reading all this stuff, I think to like program my mind so that I would just kind of think, oh, this really weird stuff's happening to me, but maybe it's just spiritual. So they were trying to I think they were trying to program me, but there was a lot of really weird stuff like that. And the license plates, I don't know what the deal is with that. I mean, it's not that hard to make a license plate. So that doesn't have to be spiritual, you know what I mean? But they were definitely using the license plates to communicate with me. Possibly to make me look crazy, I don't know. They started having these people started coming up to me and talking about Spider-Man. Total strangers that I don't even know would like come up to me and start talking about Spider-Man. And say, this one dude, for example, he was saying, they call me Spider-Man. They call me the Spider-Man. And I was just like, great. Bye. You know what I mean? Like, and then later on, I don't know. It's weird. I don't want to get into it, but I think they were trying to make me look. I think they'd say things like that so that you could, maybe to see if you're going to go into some kind of sci-fi fantasy in your mind. You know what I mean? Or something like that. And also maybe to make you look crazy later on. Because I remember I tried to tell my sister about this stuff and she was like, yeah, thanks, because you're crazy. Bye-bye. And I'm like, no, like they're purposely trying to make me look crazy, I think. And I'm pretty sure they are. Like I'm pretty sure a lot of this stuff is purposely to make the person look like they're just having like enormous fantasies. When I promise you, like everything I'm telling you is fact. And this isn't even 10%. What I'm telling you is not even 10% of the really weird stuff that happened. But I need to move on. So I left Los Angeles, and I'm not going to get into like every place I ever went or anything like that, but I moved somewhere that was just like a total non-small town place where I could just be alone, and I enrolled in like a community college, and I was just like, and I thought I was going to die. I really didn't think I was going to survive because I was being gang stalked really hardcore. And it's scaring the crap out of me because back then I didn't even know what gang stalking was, and I thought I was the only person. Anyway, some really weird things happened. I was homeless for a couple days because I was kind of like living out of my car. And I was in this little small town, and I'm just like, I'm going to stay here. And I was praying. I was praying. Just please help me. Please. I was so freaking scared. I've been freaking horrified and terrified my whole life. My whole life, I feel like, is a horror movie. And I can't get out of it, and it's not my fault. I haven't done anything. I don't know why. Anyway, I hate it when people try to say that it's all my fault and that I'm just like this because I've dabbled in darkness. Nothing can be further from the truth. Like, nothing can be further from the truth. Like, it's the exact opposite from that. Anyway, so I was praying, and I was really scared. And I was driving down this old country road, and I was thinking to myself, oh, I just wish somebody down this country road had a little guest house, and I could rent their guest house. And I kid you not, that is exactly what happened. And it was on that same street. And it starts getting really weird from here. I'm moving into this house. Guest house is a person's guest house. And I'm not sure if I should tell you this because I just know they're going to attack me about this. I had a cat when I was little that was given to me as a gift. I had that cat until I was 13, and then my stepmother got rid of it. That's not the story. The story was, oh, the cat just went missing, but I know my stepmother got rid of it because that's how she is. But anyway, that cat was, my beloved pet when I was growing up, all throughout my childhood. And it wasn't, until I was like 13 or 14 that my cat went missing, and she was just gone. I don't know what happened to her, but I know my stepmother had something to do with it. I know she did. Because she's like that. She's evil. I was living in this guest house, and I kid you not, I'm sitting outside this one evening, and I hear this meow, and I look, and it was my cat from my childhood. I know that you guys are not going to believe me. I'm telling you, that was my cat. It wasn't just a cat that looked like my cat. I don't know how or why, but that was my cat. And because my mom came to visit, and my mom even accidentally called that cat by my cat's name from childhood. And so she said that, and I knew then, I was like, yeah, it's not just me that thinks that's my cat from childhood. It was my own mother that did that. And she just like absent-mindedly called my cat by my cat's name from childhood. And I mean, not to say that my mom is extremely smart, but she's been under so much mind control and so much brainwashing that she's just absent-minded a lot of the time. She's really absent-minded. So the fact that she did that by accident just really confirmed for me that, yeah, that was in fact my cat. It was very weird. But that wasn't the only weird thing that happened when I lived in that guest house. I locked my key. I was going to community college, and I locked my keys in my car one day, and I had to call a locksmith. And this guy shows up, and he was really, really weird, and he could not open my car door, which is weird because that was his job. I don't know why he couldn't do it. And he's like, I have to call my supervisor. And his supervisor shows up in a black sedan, which, that's not weird for New York City or even Los Angeles. But for a locksmith in a small country town, it was really weird. And not only that, he gets out, and he's extraordinarily tall. And he comes over to me, and he starts... by the way, he didn't do anything to help the guy get my car open. They ended up having to... I don't remember how he ended up getting my car door open, but it was through really... I can't remember what it was, but it wasn't like your normal... He didn't use his tool. He did not know what the hell he was doing. That's basically what I'm trying to tell you. And this other guy that was there in the black sedan was... I didn't even think he was human. I mean, he was extraordinarily tall, and he didn't even help that other dude at all with the lock, but he came right over to me and started petting my head. I was so freaked out. I mean, petting my head like you would pet your dog. And I was just like, I moved away, like, what the hell? Do not touch me. And I was really freaked out, though. And the dog, my landlord's dog, the people that I was renting their house, my landlord's dog was freaking. I mean, the dog was just like barking like crazy and just like and growling and at this person. And the man was like, are you going to do something about that dog? And I was just like, and then I just kind of like went over and I said, stop, but I didn't really mean it. I don't really remember what happened, but I just remember that it was very, very weird and scary. And another thing happened when I lived in that house. I had a job interview for a restaurant that was like down the hill from where I was living at the time. And they called me in for the interview in the evening, but it was like after dark. It may have been like 4 or 5 o'clock in the evening, but I just remember it was dark out when I went for the interview, which like now I don't even leave the house if it's dark. But back then it was just like, oh, I didn't think there was any danger in that. It was just right down the street and it was a big restaurant. I show up at the restaurant. It's dark outside. I show up at the restaurant. And it was a woman interviewing me. And I was like, I go in and the whole place looked like it hadn't been used for years. I mean, all the chairs were on top of the table. All the chairs were on top of the tables. And they were covered with cloth. Everything was covered with cloth. Like it hadn't been used, how they cover the blankets or put the tablecloths over the tables or whatever when they're not using it. And it was this huge room and it was all like that. It was all covered like they hadn't used it for years. And there were some people in the back yelling. And the lady that was interviewing me, she was interviewing me in that big room, but it was dimly lit. So it seemed like there was only a source of light coming from over by the bar area. It was a very big room. I mean, it's sort of like the size of a ballroom because it had really, really high ceilings. But the only light was coming from like the bar area, so it was very dimly lit. And we were sitting in the middle of this room, and all the tables were like covered up. And I'm thinking, this is kind of weird. I don't know. And she's just having like a normal interview with me with like looking at my application kind of thing. I think she was, I don't really remember that part. I just remember it was kind of like a normal interview. And she had said to me, my family yells a lot. So I don't remember if I actually heard someone yelling in the back or if she just said that. I don't remember that part. But I don't remember seeing anybody else there at all. It was just her. And this is the weird thing. This was what was weird about it. When I was interviewing with her, her eyes were weird. Like, they were solid black. And there was like this squiggly light inside the solid black of her eyes. I know that sounds weird. I mean, because it's kind of like, okay, if you saw somebody that had solid black eyes, wouldn't you think, like, this person's not normal or whatever? But it was, like I said, it was a dimly lit room, and so, I mean, even, like in certain lighting, a normal person's eyes can look solid black, just like mine look, with this filter on the camera. I mean, my eyes are not solid black, but they look that way in this lighting. So it wasn't necessarily that weird to me that her eyes were solid black. I just thought it was because the room was dimly lit and she had dark hair, so it could be that she had just had really, really dark brown eyes. But then she had like this squiggly line in her eye. And I mean, I look back on it and I'm like, I don't know where that squiggly line came from because there was no other light in the room that I remember. Anyway, it was just really, really weird. And then,